Hi everyone, my name is Nathan. I'm one of the co-founders of Angelcube. So tonight you've heard from 3 of our alumni. So 3 members of the startups, 2 from our last batch and 1 from the batch beforehand. It's funny because these guys probably didn't give you as much insight into the actual companies, but I can say that the 3 companies that you've heard from tonight, one is Phil from LifeX. So LifeX is an LED light bulb company. Does everyone know about LifeX? Stick your hands up if you know about LifeX. Okay, now leave your hands up if you own one. Nice one. Okay, I'll expect all of you guys to jump out and buy one tonight at lifex.co. These guys are experiencing incredible growth at the moment. Like what they've done is truly amazing, and like honestly, like as watching them come through the program and everything like that, it's really been like we've been along for the ride. Like a lot of these startups, you'll find have their own force unto themselves. Like they know where they're going, they know where they're heading, and all that we have to do is sort of put in place the pieces to really help them make the most of it. Earlier tonight you heard from Charles and Bao, who are over there. Thanks very much, guys. Charles and Bao, they didn't mention it either, but they're from C8 Apps. These guys have a suite of mobile apps, they're games, and the engagement in their first release was something like double that engagement of Angry Birds. So immediately, like you get these investors and types of people who are interested in these sorts of statistics, and they would see that engagement figure and just fall over themselves. They wouldn't know what to do with it, right? So there are some really talented startups in Melbourne and in Australia who have come to the program. And then there's Ash. No, Ash is great too. Ash is super great. No, Ash is amazing. One of the big challenges that Ash had was that he was a single founder. Within Angelcube, we have a policy that sort of doesn't reward single founders, in that it's a lot harder to get into the program if you are a single founder, and that's for the pure purpose that running a startup is a full-time job. Running a startup is sort of like 2 full-time jobs, and it's almost impossible, both because of the stress that it puts on you and because of all the things that you have to do and all the things that you have to learn and all the places that you need to be to go down that journey on your own. So for Ash to come through on the other side, and he's about to close his round, so big congratulations, Ash, because that's a big thing. I'm really proud of you, mate. But yeah, seriously, so you've heard from 3 stories from these 3 companies, and I guess like what I'd like you to think and take away from those stories is the fact that each one of these guys, when they came into the program, were like visionaries. They had a really big idea, and they were obsessed with that idea. So just as a show of hands, who in the audience tonight has an idea? Okay, now keep your hands up if that idea is keeping you awake at night. Awesome. So if you understand that concept, if you understand this idea that an idea is eating you away inside, that you know that there are people out there who want to use the product that you're working on, then that's the kind of stuff that we love to be able to support. Like essentially Angelcube is about empowering those small teams to go and do amazing stuff. And we do that by giving you some seed capital. We do that by providing you with 6 months in the co-working space. We do that by exposing you to some of the best entrepreneurs in Australia and in the world. Now, these are entrepreneurs who are in and around the Melbourne scene. These are entrepreneurs who are over in San Francisco and in New York. They've got a global network of mentors, of advisors, and what you'll find is that these guys will talk about all the times that they moved into a meeting or moved into an event overseas, and we're connected with some people who understood what they were talking about from the minute that they started talking. So people who can see what it looks like to basically look you in the eye and see the idea that you have and see the potential in it and be able to like basically back you and help you move up to that next stage. One of the things that that's the most challenging about a startup is that oftentimes you're on your own. You have this crazy idea about what it is that you believe is going to be brought into the world, and half of your time is spent basically convincing everyone else of that fact, whether it's customers, whether it's mentors, whether it's advisors, whether it's investors. So one of the things that we try and do basically is help you really drill down on that message, really think about what the core value proposition it is that you're trying to get across in your idea, and then bring that to reality. So just a few more things about like the basic structure of the program. So I mentioned before, you get 6 months co-working space in Inspire 9. So what that looks like is that we have, essentially what we're going to do at the end of this month is we're going to open applications. So at angelcube.com, you're going to be able to apply to the program. So Scott mentioned that I'm going to tell you about how to apply, how to get in, and how to take over the world or something like that. So how to apply is that at the end of this month, you want to jump on angelcube.com and stick in an application. What that application is designed to do is help us tell a little bit about who you are. Mostly about who you are. Also about your idea and what you're doing. But honestly, like, everyone has an idea, as we sort of saw before by the show of hands. The telling tale about like exactly how likely you are to succeed as a startup is going to be more about you. You as a team, you as a group of people, you in terms of your experience, in terms of the way that you can persist with your startup. Talking about persistence, persistence is an incredible trait to have as a startup. How many of you know about Adioso? So Adioso went through Y Combinator in 2009. They'd been working on their idea for about a couple of years before that. It's like up until recently, like these guys have been through a whole bunch of turmoil in terms of like managing cash flow, getting turned away by investors, like trying to pay rent, all these sorts of things. But these were so obsessed with their idea about the way that they wanted travel to be, to transform the way that that looked and felt and was interacted with by consumers, that they just kept at it all this time. And in the last few sort of 6 to 8 months, these guys have had like incredible growth, like awesome partnerships that have basically enabled them to leverage their platform that they've spent years and years and years building to basically take off like a plane, which is kind of relevant, but incredible persistence during all that time, not to throw the towel in. So persistence is something really big. One of the important things about Angelcube is to recognise we're a 13-week program initially, so we have a 13-week program during which will be based in the Inspire 9 co-working space. During that 13 weeks, it's basically designed for you to establish product market fit. So product market fit is a lean startup term. Does everyone know what product market fit is? Yeah, so product market fit is this idea that that customers want what you have to offer, and rather than you pushing your product onto them, it's more like they're pulling the product out of you. All of a sudden you don't have products, you don't have problems in your company where you're trying to like push and get customers all the time. It's more like, okay, now that we know that our customers want what we have, how are we going to do a better job of distributing or getting our product out there? So the 13 weeks is designed so you can achieve product market fit. So during that time, essentially what we expect is that you'll be able to iterate on your product a whole bunch of times. So a 13-week program, like essentially, if you're building a spaceship and it's going to take you 6 months to iterate on your product, then this isn't the program for you. What we'd expect is that basically you can have smaller increments of iteration, so you can change the whole direction of your product in a week. And so what that means is a few different things. So firstly, it means that you have a team that's capable of shipping. And by shipping, I mean like you can have an idea, and then by Friday, you can push that idea out onto the web, put it in front of customers, and get some feedback as to whether it's what they want. Another way to think about it is that you have to have engineers in your team who can basically build your product really, really quickly. You need to have technology that's there to support you to rapidly prototype. So you need to have like a hustler on board, so someone who can do biz dev and get out there and really think about who are your customers, what do they want, how are we going to engage with our customers, all these types of things. So essentially over a 13-week program, you've probably got 13 different versions at a minimum of your product across that time. I mean, later on we might hear from Indy from Out Trippin', like they had like 30 different versions of their product over the 13 weeks, just because it was small little increments all the way along that tweaked exactly who they were targeting, what their product was, what it meant, where the value proposition was, what the pricing was, all these sorts of things. So 1 for 13 weeks, you've applied, you've made it through the 13-week rigorous program, which as the teams mentioned, sort of kicks off the week with a business development session, one-on-one with Adrian and I. Adrian is my co-founder, sitting down here on the left-hand side, everyone. Big round of applause for Adrian. So yeah, on a Monday we talk about business development. So that's where we really play devil's advocate on where you are in your business in terms of what you're trying to hit, what you should be testing that week, who you should be talking to, and making sure you got the core business down pat. On Friday, that's where we have what we call a pitch or pivot session. So pitching is what you do when you achieve product market fit. Pitching is what you do when you know that what your product is, customers want, and you're in a position where now you're ready to be invested ready. So you're ready to pitch for investors, pitch for advisors, and get people on board. If you're not pitching, then it means you're pivoting. And pivoting is where you've run some tests that week that indicate that your product has some issues. Now, these issues might be around like not quite the product that your customers want. It might be that your pricing model doesn't work well. It might be that your packaging isn't quite what they're after. It might be that there's other competitors in the market which make it too difficult for you to compete. So Friday is kicked off with this pitch or pivot session. And essentially, each week there'll be a minimum of one mentor from the mentor program who'll come in and deliver a session. So these sessions will be based upon their area of expertise. So they might be in marketing, they might be in customer acquisition, they might be in startup analytics, they might be in all types of things. They might be in investment, in pitching, all types of things. After the 13 weeks, that's when the heat really gets put on. So essentially the 13-week program is designed basically to get you into a position where you are investor ready. So from that point, we hold a demo day, a couple of demo days in Melbourne, a demo day in Sydney, demo day in San Francisco, and in Silicon Valley, and then across to New York. So each one of these demo days, we get an audience along, and these audience will meet up with investors, mentors, community members sometimes, like people who might who be there to support you. But essentially at these times, you're trying to attract people who can see that vision and see your product and really add value to that product. And so after which, generally the trend is that kicks off some conversations, which down the track leads to investment. Now, how successful are we at getting that investment for our startups? I think in terms of our last round, we're about 75% funded, which means that after our program, about out of 7 startups, about 5 or 6 of them have now achieved funding or have achieved a partnership, which has put them in a position where they no longer require funding. So, in terms of the things that we measure, what we look for, it's that follow-on funding. So it means that we've passed the baton on in terms of being able to get a group of people around these people who can really help, around this team, who can really help propel them into the direction that they need to go. We're looking for people who can go on to do other things. So we're looking for founders who become better founders as a result of the Angelcube program. Adrian's going to kill me for saying that because he wants the investment side of things to work, but at the same time we're also building a program that's world-class in terms of putting out world-class founders. So that's really important to us. So we're still yet to see the first IPO from the program, but some of the major milestones have been, for example, there's a company called App.io who was in the second batch. So App.io enabled you to embed iPhone, iOS games and apps into your web browser. So rather than having to download them and test them, you could play with them in the browser before you went down that step. These guys closed their Series A round after going through 500 startups. So every startup journey is different. Some people moved into another incubator after Angelcube, both for the connections, also for the exposure. These guys also did it because it allowed them to network with a group of investors who they knew were more savvy into their product, understood their product space in that San Francisco Bay Area, and could really jump on board that vision and help to propel them in the right direction.